Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. In the sun-drenched hills of Los Angeles, where Forrester Creations' fashion business hummed with ambition and the air carried the aroma of ocean breeze mingled with expensive perfume, secrets festered like whispered wishes. The week of April 6th promised to unravel the frail threads that held several lives together, particularly the turbulent triangle formed by Deacon Sharp, his wife Sheila, and Taylor Hayes, the woman who had unexpectedly captivated his heart. What began as a moment of vulnerability had evolved into something far more deadly, with the implications looming like storm clouds over the Pacific. Deacon Sharp wiped the sweat from his brow as he stood behind the bar of Il Giardino, his restaurant that had become both a refuge and a battleground. The place was bustling with the usual lunchtime crowd, models talking about forthcoming shoots, business leaders closing deals over pasta, but Deacon's thoughts were elsewhere. His son, Deke, and Hope Logan had cornered him earlier that morning, their expressions filled with concern. "Dad, you have to come clean about what happened with Taylor," Deke insisted, his voice quiet but firm. Hope nodded beside him, her eyes wide with the type of concern that only comes from having witnessed too many family explosions. Deacon had finally broken, revealing bits and pieces of the near-miss at the Cliff House, where Sheila had almost caught him and Taylor in a compromising situation. The pizza box from Il Giardino had been the giveaway, a careless touch that could have ruined everything. As the afternoon progressed, Deacon's nerves deteriorated further. He knew Sheila's instincts were as sharp as any knife she had ever used in her stormy history. Their marriage, once a tumultuous mix of redemption and obsession, now felt like a time bomb. Sheila had been acting strangely lately, too quiet and too watchful. She discovered his boots caked in mud and sand from that rainy night when he slipped out to visit Taylor. The evidence was accumulating, and Deacon could feel the walls closing in. He poured a drink for a regular customer, attempting a grin, but his mind was racing. What if Sheila already knew? What if her understanding wife behavior was only a prelude to something considerably more sinister? Across town at the Forrester home, STEFFY Forrester Finnegan paced the living room, her heart a battleground of conflicting feelings. STEFFY, the formidable COO of Forrester Creations, was accustomed to dominating narratives in the boardroom, but her personal life was unraveling. She had approached her mother, Taylor, with rage after learning about the secret meetings with Deacon. "Mom, this is insane. Sheila will kill you if she finds out," STEFFY said, her voice booming off the clean modern walls. Taylor attempted to defend herself, explaining her attraction to Deacon and how he made her feel alive again after years of grief and self-doubt. But STEFFY didn't hear it. She only saw the danger, the notorious Sheila Carter, with her history of violence, obsession, and resurrection from the dead. STEFFY adored her mother, but this reckless decision jeopardized everything: their family, their safety, and even the delicate harmony at Forrester. STEFFY's torn heart ached as she recalled her own marriage to Finn and the stability she had worked so hard to establish. Nonetheless, Taylor was putting everything on the line for a man who was married to a psychopath. STEFFY had ordered Taylor and Deacon to avoid each other, laying down the law with the same firmness she used in business dealings. But she knew deep down that her mother's heart was taking her down the wrong path. STEFFY was gripped by fear. Fear for Taylor's life, anxiety for what Sheila's finding would mean for their entire group. She confided in Finn later that evening, her voice shaking as she revealed to being torn between protecting her mother and allowing her to be happy. "I can't lose her again," STEFFY said softly, tears welling in her eyes. Finn pulled her tight, but he was well aware that the Forrester Hayes dynasty was no stranger to high-risk drama. Meanwhile, Taylor Hayes sat alone in her Cliff House, the breaking waves below reflecting the agony in her psyche. She'd always been the healer, the psychiatrist who helped people navigate their emotional mazes, but her own heart was a jumble of paradoxes. Deacon had reawakened a passion in her that she believed had faded. Their private trysts, complete with whispered promises and desperate kisses, felt like a lifeline. But Taylor was aware of the risks. Sheila's gratitude to her for allegedly preserving her marriage to Deacon was a thin veneer. Beneath it remained the old Sheila, capable of anything when deceived. Taylor replayed the close call in her head, Deacon slipping in through the back patio, their passionate embrace in the dark, only for Sheila's surprise arrival to send them scrambling. The pizza box left behind was a casual error that STEFFY had grabbed on with dread. Regardless of the warnings, Taylor's reckless decision loomed big. She couldn't deny the connection to Deacon. He knew her in ways no one else did. Their shared history of mistakes, the yearning for redemption, and the flame that lit when they were together. That week, Taylor made a decision that would shape her future. She chose to follow her heart, even if it meant risking her life. She set up a quiet meeting with Deacon, away from prying eyes, where they could chat freely. "I can't stop thinking about you," she admitted, reaching across the table in a quiet corner of a generic cafe. Deacon's eyes softened, but dread still flared there. "Sheila's onto something. I can feel it. We have to be careful." But their words faded into another stolen kiss, the kind that blurred lines and overlooked repercussions. When Hope and Deke returned to Il Giardino, the tension grew as they pressed Deacon for more information. Hope, always optimistic in love but pragmatic in family concerns, was concerned about how this would affect everyone, especially her own complicated links to the Forrester world. Deke, protective of his father, repeated the confession to him, encouraging honesty as a defense against Sheila's wrath. "If she finds out from someone else, it'll be worse," Deke warned. Deacon nodded, but his thoughts were on Taylor. He'd almost lost everything before: prison, addiction, broken relationships, and this affair threatened to drag him back into the abyss. However, the draw was undeniable. Taylor signified a new beginning, a chance to become the man he had always professed he wanted to be. As the days passed, Sheila Sharp glided through her house with deliberate ease, her thoughts piecing together the riddle. She had always been one step ahead, surviving numerous attempts on her life, while giving out her own brand of pandemonium. The dirty boots were only the beginning. Clues piled up: Deacon's mysterious absences, the slight whiff of Taylor's perfume on his clothes one night, and the way he avoided her gaze when she asked harmless inquiries about his day. Sheila was not blind. She recognized betrayal when she smelled it, and this one stung deep. Deacon was her husband, the guy she had battled her entire life for, and Taylor, the woman she had thanked for helping their marriage, was the snake in the garden. Sheila's scare techniques began subtly. She cornered Deacon one evening after the restaurant had closed, her smile charming, but her eyes keen as knives. "You've been distant, honey. Is there something you want to tell me?" Her voice was dripping with fake innocence, but Deacon felt the frost. He stumbled through a cover story about extra shifts and business stress, but Sheila didn't believe him. She drew in closer, her palm resting on his arm with a firm grip that suggested steel beneath the tenderness. "I love you, Deacon. I'd do anything for us. But lies, they have a way of coming back to bite." The insinuation hung thick in the air, driving Deacon into a frenzy that lasted the whole night. He texted Taylor furiously, advising her to stay low, but the devastation was spreading. Meanwhile, STEFFY found herself in the midst of an emotional storm. Her rage toward Taylor had subsided into a profound, hurting concern. She returned to see her mother, this time to plead rather than chastise. "Mom, please. Think about what this could do to all of us. Finn, the kids, and me. We need you safe." Taylor listened, her eyes filled with sadness and resolve. "I understand the risks, STEFFY, but for once, I want to live without fear dictating my choices." STEFFY's heart shattered. She admired her mother's courage, but feared the consequences. STEFFY pushed herself into work at the Forrester offices, creating bright new lines that showed her inner strength, but her thoughts kept returning to the family drama. Ridge and Brooke, sensing the strain, offered support in their own ways, but they, too, were unsure of the extent of Sheila's threats. The week came to a climax as Sheila's doubts turned into conviction. She did not explode instantly. Instead, she engaged in a perilous game of cat and mouse. She accidentally referenced Taylor in chats with Deacon, paying close attention to his reactions. One afternoon, she arrived unannounced at the Cliff House, professing to want to thank Taylor once more for her compassion. Taylor's heart raced as she welcomed her at the door and forced a controlled smile. Sheila, what a surprise. The air was filled with unsaid accusations. Sheila examined the room cautiously, seeing minor details, a missing glass, a rumpled throw pillow, that did not add up. You seem tense, Taylor. Is everything okay with you and everyone? The pause was purposeful and laden. When Deacon learned of the visit later, he felt his world tilt. He met Taylor in secret once more, and their rendezvous was fraught with both passion and fear. We can't keep doing this, he whispered, pulling her close. Taylor's dangerous choice was in full swing, and she refused to back down. I'm tired of hiding, Deacon. If this is real, we'll face it together. Their words ignited a night of passionate connection, yet the terror lingered like a shadow. STEFFY confronted Taylor again after learning of their continuous communication through a slip. The mother-daughter bond was strained by the weight. You're choosing him over your safety, over us? STEFFY's voice cracked, betraying the depth of her broken heart. She wanted to make her mother happy, but not at the expense of probable violence. By midweek, the waves had spread further. Hope confided in Liam about the escalating panic, while Deke attempted to mediate between his father and the mounting threats. Forrester Creations buzzed with its own undercurrents, as designs for the upcoming collection echoed the drama. Bold patterns representing risk, soft fabrics implying vulnerability. Ridge took STEFFY aside for a fatherly discussion, reminding her that family always comes first, even when hearts are lead wrong. Brooke, ever the romantic, lent Taylor a sympathetic ear, albeit she cautioned against underestimating Sheila. Sheila's fear peaked when she approached Deacon directly in their home. The room felt smaller as she laid out the evidence, the boots, the contradictions, the unshakable gut sense. I know you've been with her, Deacon. Taylor Hayes, my so-called friend. Deacon froze, his face pale. Sheila did not raise her voice. She didn't have to. Her quiet demeanor was scarier than any scream. You've made a fool of me. And for what? A doctor who plays with hearts? Deacon attempted to deny it at first, but the truth came out in pieces. He begged for compassion, claiming it was a mistake caused by loneliness, but Sheila's eyes sparkled with something dark and familiar. The old Sheila reappeared, the one who had shot, schemed, and survived. You scare me sometimes, Deacon said quietly, his words hanging between them like a confession. Taylor, oblivious of the entire confrontation, made another brave move. She made the decision to meet with Deacon openly, risking exposure in order to force a resolution. Their meeting at a secluded overlook near the shore was supposed to be decisive, either end it or commit completely. Taylor's hand was in his while waves smashed below, and they pondered the future with intense emotions. I choose you, she whispered quietly, her hazardous decision solidified in that instant. But as they embraced, a stranger watched from a distance. Sheila, her suspicions confirmed, her heart hardening into resolve for vengeance. STEFFY's shattered heart broke when she learned of the latest developments. She dashed to Taylor's side, torn between fury and affection. Mom, you're playing with fire. I can't watch you get hurt. Tears streamed as mother and daughter held, their bond tested but not shattered. STEFFY vowed to safeguard her family, even if it meant confronting Deacon or devising a strategy to eliminate Sheila's threat. In the Forrester boardroom, she turned her turmoil into bold leadership, pushing forward with new ideas that wowed even the most ardent critics. The week ended with heightened stakes. Deacon lived in perpetual anxiety, looking over his shoulder, knowing that Sheila's panic was just the beginning. Taylor accepted her decision with a mixture of excitement and trepidation, prepared to face whatever came next. STEFFY weighed her protective instincts against the agony of seeing her mother weak, her emotions pulled in directions that left her fatigued but determined. Los Angeles maintained its glittering exterior, but beneath the surface, the bold and the beautiful world was on the verge of exploding. Secrets were revealed, decisions were taken, and hearts were ripped, laying the groundwork for confrontations that might destroy relationships and forever change people's lives. Deacon tossed in bed that final night, Sheila's words echoing. The way she leaned in, her breath warm yet frigid with intent. He texted Taylor one final warning, but she responded defiantly, full of optimism for their future. STEFFY, unable to sleep, glanced at family photos, rehashing every caution she had given. The fashion world awaited the new collection, but the true drama played out in living rooms, restaurants, and cliffside residences where love and danger entwined. As dawn broke over the horizon, the characters braced for impact. Sheila's realization altered everything, no more pretense. Taylor's gambit might end in either pleasure or catastrophe. STEFFY's internal conflict would push her to choose sides and possibly confront Sheila herself. In this world of love, betrayal, and redemption, one thing was certain. The week of April 6th had started a fire that would burn into the heart of their relationships, leaving ashes from which fresh beginnings, or complete destruction, could emerge. The ocean murmured secrets to the coast, but the true storms had yet to break, bringing with them the weight of decisions that no one could reverse. Tension grows swiftly over the week, and nothing feels safe anymore. Sheila's presence hovers like a storm cloud, and Deacon can't shake the sense that danger is closer than ever. What begins as a tranquil moment quickly develops into a state of panic as he learns Sheila is observing him more closely than he anticipated. Her unpredictable nature sends chills down his spine, and every action she makes feels like a warning. Deacon is forced to consider whether he can actually escape her influence, or if he is already too entangled in her web. Meanwhile, Taylor is faced with a life-altering decision. Her heart propels her in one direction, but her instincts tell her to calm down. Despite the hazards, she feels forced to act, feeling that taking a gamble is the only way to safeguard those she cares about. But this decision does not come without repercussions. Taylor's emotional weight rises as she battles with what feels right and what could go horribly wrong. One incorrect step might undo everything she has worked so hard to rebuild. At the heart of it all, STEFFY is torn in ways she never expected. Her allegiance, love, and concerns mix, leaving her feeling overwhelmed and uncertain. Every option she considers appears to result in heartbreak for someone she cares about. She tries to remain strong, but the pressure builds up and cracks appear. The choices made by people around her further exacerbate her inner conflict, leading her to face truths she has been avoiding. As secrets threaten to emerge and emotions spiral out of control, the stakes rise with each day. The upheaval tests relationships, shakes trust, and affects everyone. When it appears that things cannot be any more intense, a surprising event occurs that changes everything, putting lives in jeopardy. And as the dust settles, one question remains: who will emerge stronger, and who will lose all when the truth is ultimately revealed?